by getting rid of a member who hangs around with paedophiles?
No.
Right. This is a fascinating phone-in, and I'd just like you to expand on that. So if you were friends with a paedophile, you don't think that your status would be improved by not being friends with them anymore?
I think you have to look at the whole picture.
I am.
Am I friends with a paedophile because he's a paedophile, or am I a friend with a friend?
Here you are on the radio. Here you actually
Sorry?
are on the radio, talking about the various circumstances in which you could be friends with a paedophile.
What is up, everybody? Harry here. A quick note before we start. This clip is a bit older, but given everything back in the news about Prince Andrew, it's worth revisiting. This is James O'Brien on LBC, taking 3 callers in a row, defending Andrew Windsor's royal status and standing in the monarchy. One caller is furious. O'Brien won't use his correct title. Another calls the whole scandal an antisemitic conspiracy. A third insists removing a man associated with a convicted sex offender wouldn't actually improve the institution, and then has to defend that position. Live. When O'Brien just keeps asking her to explain it. Get subscribed if you want breakdowns that hold up over time. Let's get into it.
The other thing I'd like to bring up, if I may,
Yes.
is the way you are now referring to Andrew Windsor.
Yes, is that incorrect?
That is absolutely incorrect.
What should it be?
Whatever you think about him, his correct title is His Royal Highness Prince Andrew.
The paedophile's friend.
And it's the same with Meghan. Everybody seems to refer to her as Meghan. She's not Meghan. She's now the Duchess of Sussex.
She's whoever she wants to be.
No, she's not.
Yes,
That's
she
her
is.
title.
Okay, can I say His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, the paedophile's friend?
How many friends have you got that may have done silly things or bad things?
Well, none that have been jailed for it, Muffy. How many have you got?
None that have been jailed, but I've had a number that have done silly things.
You think that raping teenage girls gets filed under silly things?
No, absolutely not.
I think you've delighted us for long
Absolutely
enough.
not.
Alex is in Camden. Alex, what would you like to say?
I think this is a witch hunt on Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. I think this is anti-Semitism. I think Jeffrey
Good
Epstein
grief, I thought the last
innocent.
call was mad. Amanda is in Datchet. Amanda, what would you like to say?
Hello there, yes. I just want to know, is it fair that we blanket the whole royal family for one member's actions? If somebody in my family did something wrong, would it be fair that everybody dissed my whole family for their actions?
I don't know that anyone is doing that, are they?
Well, I think that's what came over last night on the TV, was that,
Well, let's listen to it again. Let's listen to it again.
Is the monarchy fit for purpose? Jeremy Corbyn.
Needs a bit of improvement.
Mr Johnson.
The institution of the monarchy is beyond reproach.
Where's the sort of tarring everyone with the same brush thing there?
First of all, I think Jeremy Corbyn is in no position to...
No, I didn't ask you that. I asked you, where's the tarring everyone with the same brush bit there in what I just played?
Well, I think the monarchy needs some improvement, does it? I think it does.
So you're agreeing with Jeremy Corbyn?
I agree that... No, I don't think the monarchy needs some improvement.
You don't think they should get rid of the man who hangs out with paedophiles?
So tell me, if you are a friend...
I'm asking you questions. I'm asking you questions. Would the monarchy be improved by getting rid of a member who hangs around with paedophiles?
No.
Right. This is a fascinating phone-in, and I'd just like you to expand on that. So if you were friends with a paedophile, you don't think that your status would be improved by not being friends with them anymore?
I think you have to look at the whole picture.
I am.
Am I friends with the paedophile because he's a paedophile, or am I a friend with a friend?
Here you are on the radio. Here you actually are on the radio, talking about the various circumstances in which you could be friends with a paedophile. I bet you didn't think this was going to happen when you woke up this morning, did you?
Do you want to let me finish?
Not really.
Okay, then there's no point me phoning in.
I don't like talking to people who can be friends with paedophiles, actually, or people who split hairs over it. But it's good that you agreed with Jeremy Corbyn. I bet you weren't expecting to do that when you woke up this morning either.
I did not agree with Jeremy Corbyn.
Yep.
Before getting into what actually happens in each of these calls, one factual note worth being precise about, since it matters for anyone applying this old clip to what's in the news now. Prince Andrew was never criminally charged or convicted of any offense. He settled a civil lawsuit brought by Virginia Giuffre without admission of liability, and his association was with Jeffrey Epstein, who was convicted. The final caller's phrase, convicted pedophile, describes Epstein, not Andrew himself. And that distinction matters because getting it wrong in either direction, understating the seriousness of the association, or overstating Andrew's own legal status, actually undermines the argument being made rather than strengthening it. With that in mind, the first caller's argument is worth examining on its own logic because there's a real question buried under the title, fixation. What does correct address matter independently of someone's conduct? The caller's answer is essentially yes. Titles are a matter of institutional fact regardless of scandal. That's a coherent position about formal address, even if it sidesteps the substance entirely. O'Brien's rephrasing, adding the pedophile's friend to the title, isn't really a rebuttal so much as a demonstration of how absurd it sounds to prioritize formality when the substance is this serious. The second caller's, the framing that scrutiny of the Epstein connections amounts to anti-Semitism, deserves to be named plainly as a claim without evidence offered to support it in the call itself. No connection between the criticism being discussed and religious or ethnic prejudice is established. The caller simply asserts it. That's worth flagging as a rhetorical pattern independent of this specific topic. Reframing scrutiny of someone's conduct as prejudice against a group they belong to is a real tactic that shows up across many unrelated controversies, and it works by making the scrutiny itself the story rather than the underlying facts. The third call is the most interesting because it's the only one where the caller seems to be reasoning in real time rather than reciting a fixed position, and you can hear her arrive somewhere she probably didn't intend to. She starts by objecting to blanket criticism of the royal family, a reasonable point in the abstract. Collective punishment for one member's actions isn't inherently fair. But when O'Brien narrows the question specifically to whether removing one particular person improves the institution, she says no, and then has to defend that specific answer, rather than the general principle she started with. That's the moment worth studying. A broad, defensible-sounding position quietly became a specific, much harder one to defend, and the caller didn't seem to notice the shift happening until she was already inside it. None of this settles the current news cycle around Andrew, which continues to develop and deserves to be followed with its own up-to-date reporting, rather than assumptions carried over from an older clip. What holds up regardless of timing is the pattern across all three calls: institutional loyalty, deflection toward accusations of prejudice, and general principles that don't survive being applied to the specific case at hand. It's also worth noting what makes this clip worth revisiting now, rather than just a historical curiosity. The specific defenses on display, prioritizing form over substance, reframing scrutiny as bias, and defending a general principle that quietly narrows into something much harder to justify, aren't unique to conversations about the monarchy. They show up whenever any institution or public figure faces sustained scrutiny. And spotting the pattern here makes it easier to recognize in whatever context comes next. If breakdowns like this are useful to you, get subscribed to Harry Unfiltered, and I'll keep pulling these apart properly, one clip at a time.